This is the BreadWinner Podcast, hosted by entrepreneur, influencer, and sales wolf, Tyler Harris, bringing you the insights from the most successful forward-thinking entrepreneurs and influencers, so that you can rise to the top and make more dough.
Now, let's get into the show.
All right. What's up, everybody? This is the BreadWinner Podcast, and I am your host, Tyler Harris. I am excited about the guests we have on today. And guys, you know how we like to do it. We'd like to keep it real quick, clean, and bring value as much as possible. So we're just going to jump right into it. So I've got Stan Gendlin. He and I met, I guess it's been a couple of years now, and have done a couple of things together in regards to, hold on one second, let me pull this up for TJ, who's videoing behind my shoulder as well. A couple of things with some podcast stuff, and bringing in Stan as probably the biggest influence that I've had on the real estate side, someone that has just absolutely crushed it in that industry. I'm sure he'll talk about that and talk about where he just got back from last week, but want to give him a chance to jump on here and introduce himself to everybody, who you are and what you do, where you're from, all that good stuff in about 10 seconds or less. Just kidding. We'll give you about 2 minutes if that's good.
Yeah, so hey everybody, Stan Gendlin, currently living in La Jolla, California, beautiful sunny San Diego. Just moved here recently. We moved to Greenville, South Carolina, where I met Tyler, started a rehabbing business where we were buying, fixing, selling houses, flipping houses, building houses, and we just came to the market and, with kind of the end goal in mind that we're going to build a business that's going to create a lifestyle for us where we can live anywhere in the world that we want while running a business turnkey. So it took us about 3 years to build up this awesome business. We have just a killer team, great leaders, and now we've moved back here really to be in a sphere of a lot of influencers that we're friends with out here and really take our business and lives to that next level. So that's kind of where we are today.
Awesome, man. And I have to mention this. So the very first message that Stan ever sent me was a Facebook message, and it said, I didn't know people in Greenville hustle like that. And I was like, yes. I'm like, let's get coffee as soon as possible. And what I love about that is, like, the second time we met, I think it was for breakfast, and it was like, I don't know, 7 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, what are you up to, man? He's like, I've already been on like 5, 6 job sites this morning. And so I loved meeting somebody else that was just putting in the work. Like, there's a lot of people that would love to get on podcasts like this and talk, but there's not as many people that actually want to put in the work every day. And I so appreciate that. So I'm going to jump in right into the first question. What is one thing that you did in your career, what is one thing that you quit doing in your career that you feel helped you to succeed or win?
I think the biggest thing I probably learned early on was about surrounding myself with the right people. Top 5 people determine the next 5 years of your life. And I quickly got rid of all the folks that were living for the weekend, that just wanted to go out and get drunk every weekend. And I knew that was holding me back tremendously. So really getting that crowd out of my life or limiting it, because some of them are so great friends. Just the people you're around the most definitely influence you heavily. So I just surrounded myself with people that are where I want to be, and that just really took me to that next level, because I was around successful people day in and day out. And as you get to that next level, you want to up your game and get another circle of influence around you to make you feel like a little fish in a big pond, and just show you like how much more is out there.
Man, that's awesome. We've all heard that phrase that you said so many times, but in a different way. You just said it. That's the first time I've heard it that way. You said the 5 people that you surround yourself with will determine the next 5 years of your life. I've never actually heard it said that way, and it's so true. But that's even more short term than I've ever even thought of that phrase. Like, I thought it was like the 5 people you surround yourself with, like more long term. Like, this is who you're going to end up being. Blah 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 blah. But this is like the next 5 years. Like, that's you. Those 5 people. That's awesome, man. Next question. What is one misconception that people have about Stan Gendlin, and how would you like to set that straight?
Probably, that, a lot of people see what I've accomplished in a short period of time with my wife and partner, and that people think that, we work day in and day out, like some of these other guys that are always, on social media. I mean, we build a business, around our lifestyle, and our business is not our lifestyle. So we basically built a business where we don't have to work 24/7, grind day and, day and night. But we've built a business. It took 3 years, but we're able to travel 30 to 50% of the year and enjoy life and focus on giving back and philanthropy. So I would say, I don't look for work, and I would definitely recommend people who see the hustle culture. I mean, it doesn't have to be that way. You can accomplish a lot in a short period of time, so use your time wisely. I mean, I guarantee you I get more done in the first 4 hours of the day than people do in their next 12. So it's just structure your life, structure your day, and you can get pretty far without having to work all day and night.
That's awesome. So work hard and work smart.
That's right.
So last question, and this is a very leading question because you and I have had a lot of conversations, and I know this was brought up in one of them. So what was that turning point? What was that moment that you had where you were like, you know what? I'm going to go and I'm going to put the work in to be successful. What was that one moment for you that everything just clicked in your head and you knew from there forward, like, I'm going all in and I'm going to succeed in life?
Oh, man, that was definitely a leading question. I get emotional on that. So I basically came home one night, typical weekend, partying, out with my friends till, early hours, and come home, just kind of getting off being pretty wasted, drinking too much, and come home and the lights are on, which was really weird because everyone's definitely asleep at this time, and I just hear some sobbing coming from our dining room, and man, I just walk in there, quickly sobers me up, seeing my mom just almost in a fetal position, not really fetal, just kind of sitting there with her knees up on the couch, just crying, and I was like, what's going on? It's the middle of the night. My mom's sitting on the couch just crying, and she's like, my father just died. And he was sick for a while, and there was a surgery that we had talked about before. It was kind of experimental, available in Europe. He was in a communist country, couldn't, just the line wasn't short enough for him to get to it, and just something we couldn't really afford at the time. And I just remember, again, how powerless I felt, not being able to help in any way save someone's life that was so important to our family, because I decided that just money wasn't important, having the ability, I just didn't realize what you can do with money. It's not just about the cars and the houses and the watches and the clothes. That's just not a big motivator at all. It definitely came down to the lives you can impact, not just in your family, but people you don't even know. That's by far the most rewarding thing. So that was definitely one of the turning points where I'm like, I never want to be in a position where if I can help a family member or someone in need, I want to be able to do that. That was probably one of the biggest moments in my life.
Man, I appreciate you sharing that. And guys, if you want to hear more of Stan's story, coming from the very beginning, where he was born, when he came to the United States, his process going through school, and then becoming what now is an extremely successful person in the real estate business, I would highly suggest going to the Sales Wolves podcast. I was trying to look up what number it was, what episode number. I think it was somewhere in the 30s or 40s. But look at the Sales Wolves podcast on iTunes or YouTube and check out. We did a full hour-long interview with Stan, and he told a little bit more about that story that he just mentioned to you guys, which I appreciate his willingness and openness to discuss something that's obviously an emotional subject. But you really get to feel like that raw, like where did this come from? Where does all this hustle and all this work ethic and getting up at 4:30 in the morning, like where did that actually come from? And when you hear a story like that, and when you hear someone say like, from that day forward, I never, ever wanted there to be a situation where I couldn't afford to do something that I knew I wanted to do, that I was able to give out of my heart, not out of my wallet, right? Like when you're able to hear those types of stories, like that puts everything into perspective. And for those of you that don't have those kind of stories of your own, you're able to use the stories of others to motivate you so that you don't have to experience something traumatic like that. So please go to the Sales Wolves podcast and watch that episode. And other than that, Stan, where can they find you online if they want to follow you and see all the stuff that you got going on?
Typically, the best place to find me is on Instagram. My name is Stan, Gen9, the number 9, Stan Gen9. I'm posting a lot of our houses, a lot of the events I'm speaking with, a lot of awesome people that I get to meet. You can definitely reach out. That's the best way.
And when you say flip houses, like it's become such like a, hey, I flip houses, and hey, I flipped a couple houses this month or this year. Like, give everybody that little bit of perspective. Like, how many houses do you think you flip, or not think, how many did you flip last year?
I think last year, well, transactions, it was about 93 to 98 houses. It was probably somewhere in the 20 range, not sure.
Yeah. And then what's your goal for this year?
Well, our goal, again, this year is more of a income lifestyle goal, not as much of a volume goal.
Yeah.
We're hoping to probably top out at about 150 houses this year.
Okay.
And then really focus on gaining assets and building wealth and creating a lifestyle, not just for us, but for our entire team. And that's kind of the mission of our company, to build dream lifestyles for all of our team members.
Awesome. Well, guys, you heard it there. Make sure that you go follow Stan on Instagram. Check out that podcast on the Sales Wolf podcast, the episode that we did with Stan. You'll get a whole lot more information on him and see what he's all about. And with that, guys, this is the BreadWinner podcast.
Thank you for listening to the BreadWinner podcast. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast and leave a rating on iTunes. For a chance to be on the show, send a screenshot of your iTunes rating to @Tyler Harris page on Instagram, where he'll pick one person every single week. See you next time on the BreadWinner podcast.